Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sidequests, a podcast about entertainment and enriching conversations. I'm Bobby, and I'm here with my fellow questers, Sky.
Hi, everyone.
And Cody.
Hello.
We're back together. It's been over a month since we've recorded all together.
Has it been that long?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
My fault. COVID's fault.
It's COVID's fault. It's 100% COVID's fault.
But luckily, I'm feeling better. So, well, better-ish.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. We are here to talk about the weird shit that's been going on at Twitch. That is our mission for today. Sky came with a lot of information, which hopefully she can get through without losing her voice entirely. She's still
I'll try my best.
She's still struggling after your COVID problems. But we are going to do our best here. We got a lot to talk about. Things have gone a little wonky at Twitch. And we're going to dive fully into that. Before we get to that, if you're listening to this, please remember to review and rate us on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching the archive of the video version of this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video if you possibly can. Spread the word however you are able. And I'll remind you this a few times throughout the show. But it really is the best way to get the message out there about the show. So that is the best thing you can possibly do. But Sky, why don't you take us through what the hell has been happening over at that twitch.tv?
So I'm just going to be hiding lots of my coughs behind forced laughter.
Mm-hmm.
So excuse me. But it's been a hell of a couple of weeks at Twitch. I don't have any of my own personal drama, so I have to live vicariously through other people's.
Mm-hmm.
So I know all about this shit. I'm a pro at that. But anyways, so originally the first subset of issues that happened on Twitch was with a streamer named Slicker. And he started, I think it was over about a year and a half maybe worth of time. He was asking other streamers for money. And the way he was doing it was he was telling them on Discord, first of all, he had the weirdest cold opens. He'd be like, hey, how old are you, ASL? So weird. And then he would ask people for money to unlock his frozen bank accounts because, he ran into a tax issue and they locked his account and he couldn't unlock it. He needed some money to pay it, but he was going to pay them back by the end of the month. He was going to double it, or he was going to give them some extra. He was good for the money. He was recording himself with these because he gets didn't want people to think he'd had his account hacked and stuff like that, so that it was legitimate. Again, super weird situation, but he took advantage of a lot of people's kindness. And he allegedly, according to his admission, conned people out of $200,000. Now, he was gambling on CSGO competitions and other sporting events, and he was obviously not winning the money back. That, or he was winning it and doubling up to try and pay these people back. And he ended up digging this hole, and he kept asking for more money, and he kept saying, well, it was like a sunk cost fallacy at that point. I'm going to keep investing money into this gambling addiction, and one day it will pay off, and I'll be able to settle all the scores, all the debts. And it never happened. So a bunch of Discord conversations and DMs and such leaked recently, and a lot of other people actually collected statements and broke down the alleged amount that was stolen. I've seen the count go as high as 380,000 from my research, which is insane.
That's a lot.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money to lose in sports betting and stuff like that. So we're actually going, before we continue with our discussion on that, I'm going to preface this by trigger warning on addictions and gambling and the such. We are going to be including hotlines and all the descriptions of our uploads on our podcasting channels, on our YouTube archives and everything like that. Gambling is a horrible addiction. We do not condone it, but we feel like it needs to be discussed in terms of the fact that, we are members of these platforms, and this kind of thing, it affects all of us. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be including those hotlines in the descriptions. If you feel that this conversation is a little triggering, please click them, follow the advice on these, these hotlines, call if you need to. We are here to support that. Um, we it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
So the trigger warning on that, and we're going to do our best to discuss it as delicately as possible. So
yeah, I mean, like, this person's like addiction and problems are like, I feel like not something, their individual problems, right, are not something that we need to like focus on, right? Because like
Mhm.
that's not really what this like story is really about in a lot of ways. Like that's like the juicy like headline aspect of it, all this big money
Mhm.
total and all that kind of stuff. But the real failing here, right? This is common across, most big tech platforms, whoever they are. Twitch, is part of that. Is that part of that grouping? Is they have set up a system that allows for this kind of thing to happen on their platform. And I think what's like amazing about it, right, is that all of this stuff sort of like came to a head on September 17th, right? They were like Slicker was like kind of admitted, right, the problems, right, that they were having, right? And then a couple of big streamers, right, were like, okay, we're gonna boycott. And Twitch initially said nothing, right? Twitch said nothing. Then
nothing.
And then Pokimane and Mizkif and a couple other people basically were like, we're not gonna stream during like Christmas week in protest of all of these gambling issues, whatever. And then 2 days later, Twitch is like, oh, we're gonna change our rules. We're gonna change we're gonna change the gambling rules. Which there's in this kind of story you shared, there is like a tweet from someone that says like the speed in which they responded to the gambling like stuff compared to all the other like issues on their platform is you can tell that there's real money involved for them, or legal action involved for them. They're
Absolutely.
like they're legally they're putting themselves at risk. So with that threat of money being leaked out the door, they respond very quickly. Whereas there's actually more money in them for them letting like harassment and misogyny and stuff kind of like perpetrate on their platform, because they feel like that's their core audience, right? Are those people. And I feel like, Twitch has still not said, right? They still have, when you said this article, Twitch still hasn't said what they're changing their rules to. They've just said, we're changing our rules. We're gonna right? Is it
No, I think they came out and
They
did
came
that.
out?
Yeah, a little
Okay.
bit of information on that.
Okay.
They essentially said they're getting rid of. Initially, they claimed that they have prohibited sharing of links and referral codes on these sites, like for slots and roulettes and dice games and stuff like that. So it's like, if, for example, XQC was streaming slots, he would have a referral code. So if you joined it, they give you like they give you like $200 to just use on these slot machines. You probably wouldn't win anything, but then you'd kind of get addicted, and you kind of get in, like, because it's so easy to just press a button, watch some shiny lights go by, than it is to actually physically go into a actual casino, take out the money you need, and slide it in every single time. Some people prefer that, obviously, because there's a tangible component to it, but gambling online has that distant feeling to it, where you can just get out of control so fucking fast. It's very dangerous shit. So they always prohibited these, allegedly, again, I've never participated in these, but these referral codes that give you the extra money just for clicking on that link. They would also give the money to, like, for example, the streamer who provided it, so they can keep gambling and keep streaming their addiction too. So they claim that it was to limit exposure to their community for like potential harm, but that was the extent of their action against it. But then according to this policy update, which is happening on October 18th of this year, they're going to be banning the streaming on websites for example, Stake, Rollbit, DualBits, Roobet, because these aren't licensed in the US and they also don't have any like consumer protection because of that. So essentially, you can gamble on websites that have consumer protection in United States, because then Twitch doesn't have to worry about the legal ramifications, because
Right.
they're not going to go after Twitch. They're going to go after the website that hosted the slots and the roulettes and stuff like that, because they have they have their, control on their end. They have their consumer protection on that end. So Twitch can deflect and say, well, it's not our problem, right? It's their problem. Go after them instead. But they're still going to allow sports betting, which was the issue with Slicker. He had sports betting issues, fantasy sports and poker. So essentially, they're getting rid of anything that you can just like burn a ton of cash on like this, and I still don't think that's strict enough personally. But it is a step in the right direction in terms of a policy update. I still feel like Twitch is really not great at these policy updates or these PR updates on Twitter in specific. They're always written very poorly. Like,
yeah, I agree.
They're just, they don't, I don't know.
They're like maddeningly inconsistent about how they address problems on their platform, right? It's like, and again, this is tech company wide, like big tech companies across the board for the most part have this problem, right? You look at companies like, and the way they treat the users or like the contractors that use their platform, right? You look at something like Uber, right? Who tried to like claim in court that they weren't a transportation company, they were a technology company, and therefore they didn't have to like pay their contractors a certain amount of money because they're not like they would claim they're not like they're not integral to our business, right? That they would say about the drivers, and the judge was like, but if they don't drive people, then what is your company, basically? And they, but these companies always try to do stuff like this. And this is part of this, and part of the whole conversation we're going to have tonight, right, is about the fact that like Twitch views its creators with disdain, right? Basically, right? It treats them with disdain. It treats them with like, you are something that we have to deal with to get the advertising money we want, or the cut of the subs, the bits, the whatevers, like all that stuff to get what we want from other people. We have to deal with you in order to do that. And I'm not saying that that's Twitch, like everybody. There are plenty of people who work at Twitch who are good people who care about creators and care about the platform and care about safety. But those people, often feel like they're screaming into an echo chamber, for people who don't care about those things, who only care about money. And like, you can see the way they react to this, right, compared to the way they react to, something like DMCA stuff, or the way they react to hot tub streamers, or the way they react to whatever. It becomes a thing where you can clearly see where their priorities are at all times, right? Which is just, we want to make sure that we do just enough to protect people, to shut them up, while not hurting the amount of money we can make from people who might want to use these. Because I guarantee you Twitch has some idea in their heads of like, these like gambling sites, like we could probably, the legit ones, we could probably have like a partnership and like a thing where like they sign into their Twitch account, and when you buy this, you can bet this. And what I guarantee you, there's somewhere in their content roadmap, there is some integration with these things. And so they have to make sure they're trying to protect their bottom line. And they don't give a shit about anybody's sickness or problems or issues, because what they'll say probably is, that's not our problem. We just provide a platform for people. We're not mental health experts. We're not this. We're not that. We're not this. We just have a thing where you can sign up for an account and throw video at it. And, as long as it doesn't break our terms of service, we don't have any, it's not up to us, like that's kind of how they deal with it. Cody, you haven't really got a chance to say much yet. I wanted to throw it back over to you.
Totally.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, like, as someone who's like, my family, like, addiction runs in my family. Like, my grandmother's an alcoholic. I lost my cousin to drug and alcohol addiction, and it's I agree with Sky that they should be banning all gambling off of Twitch, especially because like looking at it from my perspective, Twitch is now like becoming a lot more accessible for children. And like just the other day, I was on Twitch like 2 weeks ago, and there was just a gambling stream up on the front page, and that's insane to me because all it takes is a 10-year-old to click on that, and suddenly he's seeing a website. And the big one was Stake, which it's good that they banned that one because I know a lot of the streamers like XQC and Soda Poppin were using that one. And like it's crazy to me that a 10-year-old could see that, click that. A lot of these kids can get easy access to their parents' credit cards, and now you have a 10-year-old child who is potentially dropping like $200 on a website, and Twitch is like just like, oh, whatever, like it's not our problem. That is asinine. It's insane. Like it shouldn't be the case, and it's also just like, I think it's also a problem. Like I don't know how big of a problem it is in Canada, Sky, but like especially in the U.S., like sports betting, gambling, like it's becoming like I think almost more prevalent than alcohol and drug abuse because it's just becoming so much more readily available. I mean, just this past year, FanDuel and all that, the sports betting stuff got allowed in my state.
Mhm.
And I think Bobby, yours as
Oh
well.
yeah.
And then you guys the other day were telling me you can buy lottery tickets online.
Yep.
That's insane to me. If
Yeah.
that was legal here in my state, like people would be bankrupt tomorrow. Like it's becoming like an epidemic almost because it's just so readily available now that we have a phone 3 seconds from us that can do everything. It has all of our cards stored on it. And for Twitch to just kind of be like, well, we're just gonna do a little bit here. And then like it's insane to me that like there are creators, like just the other day I saw a creator being like, oh, you people are just too soft. Like it's not our responsibility to take care of you. And I was like, that is the most insane thing a person of power could ever say to somebody is that it's not their responsibility to make sure you're not like that's insane to me.
I mean, that's
Like-
part of the problem with like social media, like influencer culture, because and I'm not saying the way it used to be was better, but it was much harder to get into a position where people knew who you were and listened to what you said and like took what you were saying as something to be listened to or looked up to. You know, it was the pipeline was much smaller, right, to gain fame, right? But now, and so there was a process that people had to go through. They had to work with certain companies. They had to go through media training. They had to go through like understanding of like this is the things you should and should not say in front of people. This is the things that are harmful and whatever. And of course, there were people who still didn't abide by those rules, but it was very easy to squeeze them out, right, or to monitor them at those times. And now, because the platform is so open, and people like, you know, people who just like, I'm good at playing Apex Legends, and now all of a sudden I have hundreds of thousands of people watching me play this game. I'm making millions of dollars, and to them, they have no conception of like, I am a public figure who, you know, whose words mean something, and there are people watching me who can be influenced by the things that I say and do. And so because they have none of that, and because the platform in which they are on doesn't give a shit about what they say or do, as long as it is not costing them money, they don't care, right? They can do whatever they want and say whatever they want, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt the bottom line. In fact, it probably helps them a lot of the time because you have the whole bunch of fucking incel fanboy idiots who like think like, yeah, you're right. You gotta be tougher. You know, like this whole bullshit that exists, and then it just perpetuates on itself over and over again. And I think like it was really funny back a few years ago, Cody, when they were starting the Overwatch League, and there were these like big players who came from this school of like, we got really big playing this game. We have no media training. And then all of a sudden they worked for people who had millions, if not billions of dollars on the line. And so when they said the wrong shit, they got fired. And people were like, and they were like, this is outrageous. And I'm like, this is fucking reality, man. Like, this is what happens. Like, you cannot.
Was one of them.
Yeah, actually, was one of them. You cannot go out there and say this shit and expect people People are paying you. There's actually a person now, not a corporation who like there's 7 million people on their platform and they just care about the money coming in. There's a person who's putting millions of dollars into you, and you are representing them, and they don't want to be represented badly. And I think like we need a little bit more of that. And the only thing that can do that are the people at Twitch or the people at YouTube, whoever it is. They need to be the people who say, you can't do this. You're suspended or you're banned. And they need to be public. They need to be like, and here's why you're banned, and here's how you can get back. And if you do it again, you're banned again, and be very clear about it. And they just don't do that.
Twitch is bad at that. They're very inconsistent with their bans. They're very inconsistent with communicating with people that they have banned.
Yeah.
There are some people who've been lifetime banned for nothing. And then there was allegedly that one streamer who had sex on camera and got banned for 7 days.
Yeah.
So they're not consistent with these bans. As far as I'm aware, Slicker has not been banned yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. No, he hasn't.
So I don't understand what's going on here. And speaking of XQC, actually, he used to be one of the biggest gambling streamers on Twitch. And after all of this came out, I think to save face, he claims he's going to be paying all of the people who come forward with proof of receipt that they were scammed by Slicker, that he's going to pay them back with Ludwig. Now, I see Ludwig doing that because he's generally all around a pretty decent guy from what I can see. He's one of the streamers that does watch what they say and does have like a journalism degree, and he actually tries to be responsible with his videos and with his updates and everything like that. So I respect that guy. I see him doing that just because he's a good person. He also got scammed by Slicker. He gave Slicker money. But XQC, totally a PR stunt. Like I don't get it. I just don't. It's partially his fault.
Yeah. I mean, it is partially his fault. I mean, the guy should get help. Like, he needs to get help, obviously. There needs to, but there's just a point where your actions are what matter, right? And especially in situations like this. And it's like, I don't think he should be put on a pike and like, made a pariah. He needs to go get help. But until he does that, he should not be out there running streams and still profiting off the fraud. He committed fraud. Like, that is what he did. He committed fraud. Like, and it probably won't, he won't get prosecuted for it or whatever, but like, that is what he did. And so like, he should not be allowed. Twitch should be like, no, you can't be on the platform right now.
I don't understand how Slicker still has an account.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. As far as I'm aware, he still has not been banned, so I don't get it.
I do want to bring up, just because I remember this happening like 7 or 8 years ago, that like it's not just Twitch. Like, YouTube also has like never really come down hard on gambling. Like, I remember like 7 or 8 years ago, these two COD players made a CS:GO skins website, and they were secretly running it, but like telling people like, yeah, you should go to this site. It's like really cool. Like, here's a free promo code. And they were just profiting off it for months before someone found out that it was those two COD. They never got in trouble. YouTube never did anything. And so it's just like, just media companies in general need to sit down and look at what is acceptable on their platforms.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, the YouTube is a whole other ball of wax that has a whole other huge laundry list of problems that it refuses to address. So that's a whole other part of it. What do we want to talk about? Do we want to move on? Do we have anything else to say about the gambling, or do we want to move on to one of the other stories that will reinforce the things that we're talking about?
About how Twitch has terrible PR.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I just wanted to, again, reiterate the fact that we put those hotlines in our descriptions. Please visit them if you feel like you need assistance. If you feel like this discussion upset you in any way, they're there to help. And that's just how I want to finish that segment. I think that's important to keep pointing out.
Yeah.
So, but excuse me, I just popped a Ricola in my mouth. I've been popping cough drops like an old lady. I've been pulling these out of my pocket all week. The whole thing is just, excuse me. But the next thing to tackle is, this was literally a day later. They had another PR announcement, and I think they did this on purpose. Like, put them so close together so that like one would overshadow the other because
Mhm.
this one's huge. This one is insane to me. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. The voice is starting to go. So they put out a blog post on Twitter, tackling revenue split.
Mhm.
So revenue split with their ads, revenue split with their subscriptions, and it was a mess. So it's primarily targeted at the monetization of like an upper echelon of streamers who make 70-30 revenue split. So these streamers make 70% of subscriptions and ad revenue and stuff like that. And Twitch keeps 30% of it. So it was always a small, like upper echelon of streamers that qualified for that kind of thing. Like we're talking like the top 10, and some of them, I don't know the number. I just don't know. I just know it was like an elite little club. So that was never a secret, by the way. Everyone knew about that. Everyone else, small streamer otherwise, made 50-50. So, you kept 50% as the streamer or the content creator, and Twitch kept 50%. But now they're dialing back on that. So they released a statement saying that they've stopped giving out those contracts. And apparently they stopped giving them out last year. So I personally know a lot of streamers that started getting really, really high viewership that were trying to apply with their partnership managers for these 70-30 splits so that they could start going full time and they could start, recognizing and realizing their dream as a content creator. They needed the revenue for that, obviously. They always got the cold shoulder. And now this makes sense because they stopped giving those contracts out. So now they're saying these people who have the existing contracts, after your first $100,000, you're down to 50-50, just like everyone else. Yeah. And that caused a huge stink because not only is it offensive, first of all, to these people who had these contracts that are now being violated and are rewritten without their consent, or they weren't consulted and stuff like that. People have been fighting on Twitch to have a 70-30 split across the board. Even people who had the 70-30 split, they weren't saying, oh, keep the 50-50 plebs down there, don't give them what we have. No, everyone advocated it.
I think one or two were saying that, just for the record.
Yeah.
One or two of those guys are assholes.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. But most of them, like like the big ones with like Twitter and Instagram and lots of like social media presence, were saying, I've always advocated for the 70-30, even for small creators. It's not like, the majority of people in this upper echelon, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're decent people. I don't know them personally, so whatever. But they didn't do that. They dialed back. Instead of raising everybody up to the same level, they lowered everyone down to 50-50. So I don't understand. And then, like, to defend that situation, like to defend that choice, they said that they were doing it because they couldn't afford to maintain their own video servers, which is insane to me.
Yes. They said they had to pay the amount they were paying for servers was making, so they weren't making money. But the ridiculous thing, right, is that the servers that they use are Amazon AWS servers. Twitch is owned by Amazon. So essentially what they are saying is Amazon is charging Amazon too much money to use Amazon servers. So for Amazon to keep making enough money, they've got to start taking money away from creators. That's essentially what they are saying in this. What president of Twitch, Dan Clancy, said on a blog post that he published where he talked about this.
I have no idea how that made that past any type of marketing or PR department because it's lunacy. It's ludicrous. It makes no sense.
It's ludicrous. It also is a thing where, one, you are costing people, those people who you're changing this for, you are costing them probably millions of dollars a year for this change. Now, I will say this. Now, I know they stopped giving out like their exclusive deals a couple of years ago now, right? They stopped with the we're going to pay people to exclusively stream on Twitch. I think they ended those agreements with people. I have a hard time believing though that their top 5 streamers or what have you aren't going to get a different deal than everybody else. I just can't believe it. They're going to do something. They're going to give them a sponsorship deal. They're going to give them something because they're not going to, because they're going to start losing people. It's just and it's just going to happen. And they've already started losing people, but they're going to lose people even more so because what you've done is effectively, even though the 70-30 split, like you said, Sky, was at a very small group of people, it was an aspirational thing for people who are growing to try to work towards, right? Mm-hmm. And if I break through this number, I can go full time. I can make this amount of money. It's going to change my life. And now basically you can see the entire roadmap of your financial future from the moment you become an affiliate, right? Till the moment, because you can sit there and say, okay, it's $5 for a tier 1 sub, right? On Twitch. That's $250 for me. Like, how many of those per month do I need to try to live, right? And it's a big change in calculus when you're dealing with big numbers, when you're dealing with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 subscribers. That makes a huge difference, for how much money you're making between like the 250 or like the 3, whatever it is that you make, 375 or whatever it is. Yeah. It's a big number. 60,000 people, like you're talking about $1, you're talking about $60,000. Like,
it's
how much?
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's also insane in this world where we've seen these splits. Like, you see places like Epic Game Store and Steam and increasing the amount of money that goes to the creator and keeping less. This does exactly the opposite. They go, okay, and I said to Sky before we started recording, it feels to me like a company that's saying, where else are you gonna go? Like, this is it. Like, this is where there's no place else to go but right here. So what are you going to do? That's what it feels like. Cody, what do you think?
Like, on top of the, ass backwards, we have to pay Amazon too much for our servers, it seems, because, it just seems counterproductive to, what they've been talking about lately. Because it's like, oh, hey, well, while we are doing 50-50 for subs, we're keeping donos and bits the same. So it's like, okay, well, now as a streamer, I should be prioritizing getting people to donate, give me bits, things like that, over subbing. And then Twitch is coming out being like, but also we have that new ad program where the more ads you run, the more money we give you. But then it's like, okay, but then someone's either just going to, A, run an ad blocker, or B, sub to me so they stop getting the ads. And then I'm just screwed no matter what.
Yeah.
And so it feels very anti-creator in the long run, no matter what we look at.
It's 100% anti-creator. It's 100% because, like Sky said, the answer if you want to be pro-creator is you bring everybody up to 70-30.
Yeah.
That's the answer. You don't take money, and it's insane that you go to people when Twitch is extremely successful, extremely popular. Again, I don't know what their actual profit looks like behind the scenes. I know that they often struggle to make a profit because it's a weird business to be in. You're putting out a lot of video bandwidth for a lot of people who aren't making any money for you. But it feels like a weird choice for a company that's owned by Amazon, which is the second or third most profitable corporation in the world, to say, we're taking money away from you. And it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help smaller streamers. It doesn't help it hurts the bigger streamers, right? And it doesn't help Twitch at all. Like, the hearts and minds situation is so fucked by this. It's like people are just going to be angry. They're just going to be angry constantly, and it's going to cause you just all sorts of problems. Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
No, and on top of this, they're just they've been removing things left and right. They're removing, you can no longer, is it hosting or rating?
You can't host. You can't host.
Yeah, which is
no longer host other
Yeah.
channels. That removes discoverability for people. they've made it to where now if your partner, it used to be like, oh, we only want you to stream on this platform, but we can't make you only stream on this platform. Now they're just saying stream anywhere. And so we saw Ninja doing like across every platform he could, he was streaming. And that's
Speaking of,
just weird.
it
Like,
is weird. Well, Ninja actually got rid of his subscription button for that reason.
how did he?
I think, yeah, I think there was something wrong with that, with that, because I think, okay, so I think the way it works is you can stream on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and blah blah blah, like unexclusively now, but you can't do it at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. They don't want you doing it at
Okay.
the same
Okay.
time.
So
Yeah.
I think Ninja wanted to do it all on the same time
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
to like maximize his viewership and his like exposure, which again is Ninja. I don't think even he needs to do that, but he got rid of his sub button. If you go to his channel, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is he? And that's
It's
probably a
interesting.
good thing because
Mhm.
now he's no longer getting 50/50 from subs. He's just getting pure donations and bits.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And well,
that works out for
former,
him.
like there was some former Twitch employees, particularly like a Twitter Spaces or whatever, that was like, if you're effectively this, come to this chat, we're going to tell you how you can make money other ways than just Twitch subbing, basically. Like Patreon, use YouTube, you know, all that kind of stuff, because like you have to diversify what you're doing, because Twitch is obviously not interested in the long-term like growth of their content creators, right? And this has always been the problem with Twitch, right? Is like they seem averse to discoverability on their platform. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They've made a couple of changes lately that were like a little bit, which helped a little bit, which were like the ads not playing right at the beginning of you can you can like preview a stream for like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that without an ad automatically popping up. Because one of the biggest drivers away for people is people click on a new stream, and then the auto ad pops up and they just leave. They don't wait for the ad to end. But they seem anti-discoverability on their platform. So they seem like they feel like it feels very much like you either got to be one of the big guys, you got to come in with you got to come in with a built-in audience. You got to be a celebrity or an athlete or a creator from somewhere else. Come in so you can have a built-in audience and it grow, or you know, or just get stupid lucky. You know, just get really lucky like that. Like all your grinding and hard work ends up with you getting a bump in viewership. But with but the thing about this move is it feels like okay, before it felt like there were the haves and the have-nots, and the Twitch only cared about the haves, right? That's all they cared about. That's all they made their money on. They gave them contracts, they gave them sponsorship deals, they gave them blah blah blah, blah whatever. And now it feels like they don't care about anybody, right? They don't feel like they don't care about the haves or the have-nots. They don't give a fuck. And I just don't understand. Look, I'm not a business person. I don't claim to understand what it takes to run a multi-trillion-dollar organization, but I do not see the upside at all, except purely monetarily, what the upside is for Twitch. And it feels like so short-sighted to me for them to choose to do this in this way. And after this announcement happened, the Twitch, like the person in charge of like creators, basically their creator chief, left the company.
That was a huge deal.
Constance Knight, she left, and you know, she kind of like, you know, like all corporate exits, didn't say like, and fuck you, like this is not what I signed up for. You know, she didn't do that. You know, she gave the standard like, I'm excited for new opportunities and whatever. But the sort of like word from insiders was that she'd been frustrated for a good long time about how the management there above her chose to make decisions, basically. You know, it's just crazy because think about the big streamers, right? Let's say you had $100,000 of revenue coming in a month, right? Which some of the really big ones obviously have. Some of them have more than that, but way more. But let's just make it a nice even $100,000. Previously, you'd be making $70,000, right? You'd be taking home $70,000 of that $100,000. Now you'd be taking home $50,000 of that's $20,000 less in a month. Now, $50,000 is still an insane amount of money. It is almost as much as I make in an entire year, right? So like I'm not gonna like it's that person is still gonna be fine, but their income did just change by $20,000 in a month. That is crazy, And if that person, some of these people like run like businesses based off of the revenue they get from Twitch, right? So they employ people, they employ editors, they employ marketing people, they employ PR people. They have whole organizations basically underneath them. Like Ninja has a whole organization around him, at this point. You're doing that, yeah, Ninja will be fine, right? He'll be fine. But you are affecting the lives of a bunch of other people who rely on that money that Ninja gets to survive. And so like it's the knock-on effect is really intense. And when you're dealing with this amount of money, it's crazy. Like it's like if the NFL was like, we're cutting everybody's pay by 20% this year, no matter what. It's like, what? It's insane. It's crazy.
It's egregious. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the Destiny streamers I follow, he got really big in Destiny 1, and he got one of those 70-30 splits very early,
Mhm.
and now he's down to a 50-50, and like he has a wife and 2 kids, and like he's like, like obviously like woe is me, first world problems, but like that's $20,000 less I'm getting a year now. Like crap. I don't like we have a lot going on in our family. And so it's just like it is crazy to think that they were just like, whatever. You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like that's like,
Their solution to that was just to run more ads. It's a live streaming platform. You know how
Yeah.
intrusive ads are to that experience. Like
Yeah.
YouTube pauses because it's not live.
Yeah.
It's like find a way to run ads better. Like why do you have to have these full screen ads that stop the entire experience for people who can't afford a subscription? It doesn't make sense to me. Like you have those little ribbon ones that shrink the screen. Do more of those.
Yeah.
Or do more on the corners or on the bars on the side. It's gonna look ugly, but it's still just as effective. Other websites do it.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
It's also one of those things where you're also putting more onus on the creator to then to not only be their own talent and producer and technical person and technical, director, but also now they have to be an in real time business money marketing manager to be like, how many ads do I have to run in this 6-hour stream that I'm doing in order to make up the money that I'm losing for? And then the people who are watching who aren't subbed are now suffering because they're seeing more ads that they don't want to see, so maybe they're forced into subbing, like Cody said, into this person then, but then that person is seeing less money for the sub that they've now forced this person to using because of the better ad split. And now those person won't ever see, like Cody said, won't ever see the ads again. So like, what is the point? And also, I don't know, either you remember this, but a few years ago, if you had Twitch Prime, you didn't see no ads.
Yes.
Anywhere.
I was so mad when they took that away.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
yeah.
I see why now. Like,
yeah. I mean, but YouTube, like you said, like it's expensive, but YouTube has YouTube Premium. You pay like $12 a month and you don't see any ads on anything ever. Ever.
And then YouTube, like I'd say 7 out of 10 ads are just like watch 5 seconds and skip.
Yes. Yeah.
These ad incentives are like, here's 8 ads back to back to back to back.
It's
That's
3 minutes.
3 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah. I rarely watch big streamers, and I was watching one the other day for some reason, and literally I was sitting there and in the middle of it, I had to watch 8 ads in the middle of in this ad break.
And don't get me wrong, like I think a lot of them like are smart and they're like, oh, I'll just do an ad break when I'm getting up to go get like water. Like, but like I've been in streams where like I'm in the middle of like watching them do a raid or something, and they're just like, all right, here's about 8 ads.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's insane to me, man. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
It
really hurts discoverability for smaller streamers too, who have to fall into that. They're the ones who are going to get hit the hardest, because a big streamer doesn't have to work as hard to maintain its viewership. The small streamers do, and these pre-roll ads are crushing.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not the type of person to click off an ad. Like, I'll watch the ad to see the streamer, and then I'll make my decision on the streamer within, like, the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then if I don't like the vibe, I'll leave.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't do that. They see
No.
the ad and they're like, "Okay, screw it. I don't have time for this." And they're
Yeah.
gonna move on to a channel they were gifted a sub on, or a channel that, they don't mind sitting through the ads because again, it's a big streamer, is not reading comments, they're not doing anything. You're just watching these big streamers because they're personalities.
Yeah.
And it's just it really, really, really hurts
Yeah.
small streamers. This kind of bullshit. It's not fair.
And there are some big streamers who are good about like I know like Lyric will be like, look, I gotta in 10 minutes, I'm running my ad break. I gotta do it, or ads play at the beginning of the stream. People bounce off, whatever. They're very clear about it. You know what I mean? But just go back to this one thing about the split, right? The 50-50 split. YouTube does 70-30, right? To everybody. Anybody who can qualify. Obviously, it's harder to qualify to get like memberships, I think they call them on YouTube. It's harder to get qualified for memberships than it is to be qualified for affiliate, right? There's a lot of more like stringent things you need to do, and it's a lot higher bar to get to clear on YouTube to get there. However, it's 70-30 across the board. There is no 50-50 at 70-30. And then, places like Patreon or OnlyFans or any of these places take less than 20%, like off the top. Like Patreon, I think takes 15% or something like that. It used to be less. It used to be like 8% or something like that. And they upped it like, or whatever. But like, why? So other than the fact that for a streamer, right? For a content creator who's like mid-range, right? Because there are people like, it's very hard to make your living on Twitch unless you're like up in the upper echelon. But there are plenty of people who are in that middle ground who can make plenty of money from Patreon and basically maybe not be able to quit their job, but be able to live pretty comfortably off of, that money. You're going to start seeing people just go, okay, I have a Patreon. I stream on Twitch. I run my ads. If you guys want to see like, if you guys want to see any of this stuff, like without ads or the art, whatever, or you want to support me, here's my Patreon, go subscribe there. If not, just hang out, have a good time, whatever. And then Twitch is just going to not see any of that money, right? They're not going to see any money.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but can you not advertise those things on Twitch? I thought, like, I know like OnlyFans is like, you can't say it. Like all the women are like, oh, go check out my.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So, like,
you can definitely talk about Patreon.
Patreon, okay,
for sure.
Okay. I thought for some reason they like had those like blocked off, like you weren't allowed to talk.
No way.
Well, I think Amaranth, like one of those really, really big hot tub streamers, like she makes so much money. It's crazy. She made her own website that just links to her OnlyFans. And so she mentioned that website instead, and you click it and it's like, oh, hilarious. Just here you go. Here's my OnlyFans. Like here's all of my not like my bad content that I can't show you guys or I can't mention, but now I have this website and I can talk about that instead. It's an interesting workaround. I always thought that woman, it's like you can say what you want about her, but she's a businesswoman. She knows what she's doing.
She's very smart. She's extremely smart
woman.
Extremely, and when you hear interviews with her, extremely aware of her career, what her career means, how long her career has the potential of existing, and what she needs to do to maximize what she has right now. And like she said, like she had, like I think there was some story about her on some platform, I don't remember what it was, where basically the headline was, Amaranth doesn't have time to date you. She's starting on Empire or whatever. Like that's kind of what the thing was.
Hilarious.
Just extremely smart. And like, that whole controversy that happened a couple years ago with the hot tub thing was always dumb. Any like normal human being, like who wasn't a fucking, Chad, was like, completely understood how stupid it was, right? That there was this huge controversy about these women who were wearing bikinis in hot tub. It was like, do we live in like Puritan pilgrim times? Like, I don't understand what everyone's freaking out about.
But just for gaming.
This is just for gaming. Forget about all the other 7,000 other categories that exist on Twitch.
Yeah.
Like when Justin TV was like a thing, which eventually turned into Twitch. Justin TV started as IRL content.
Oh yeah.
So I don't understand like where people are going, oh, Twitch was always a gaming website. No, it wasn't. It became a gaming website.
That dude,
never started that way.
literal guy named Justin, who created Justin TV, used to walk around with his backpack and take it to places to show people like a streaming backpack to show them like the power of the platform, because it was like it was so hard to do it at that time. But yeah, absolutely. And again, like Twitch itself doesn't want to just be a gaming platform. There's not enough money in being just a gaming platform. You've got to be more. It knows that. That's why there's all these other categories that exist. You know, nobody was like getting on the music streamers for not playing games. You know, the clear and present like misogyny obviously is there. Anytime you go into the gaming space or any of these entertainment spaces, it's always front and center, always, and anything anyone ever says, like you know, they can couch it in as many things as they want, but people tell on themselves every single time they talk about anything to do with women or people of color or people of different gender identities or sexualities. Like they just tell on themselves constantly. You know, and it just happens over and over again, and Twitch doesn't care. They don't care.
Like you're right, because like we mentioned earlier, their inconsistency with their statements and their ability to you know, protect their platform or like have a consistent kind of terms of service and stuff like that. It's just hilarious because I was targeted for a little while because of my appearance. A lot of people were like, "Oh, you're a pretty girl on Twitch." You know, I've had people ask me if I have a boyfriend in the back over here off to the side playing the video game and that my controller wasn't plugged in, and that I was only doing it because I was cute and I was making money off of it, blah blah blah. It's disgusting. It's part of the reason why I stopped streaming on Twitch was just the pure bullshit that I had to deal with. And I, you know, at most I had a low cut top. I can't even imagine what some other women who, you know, are prouder of their bodies and stuff like that, like what they go through. Of course, like it's different for everyone, but like even just, you know, this was a big deal for people. And I was just like, this is nuts. Like it's really disgusting. But Twitch never did anything about it.
No.
Because there was no tangible legal thing that could happen to them. It was just, it benefited their bottom dollar to make a hot tub streaming category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was their solution. Take it away from everything else. Get it off the front page. But keep it because it makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
But there's no tangible consequence. This gambling stuff had a tangible monetary like number assigned to it. It's a lot of money. A lot of people got scammed. A lot of people can go after them for it. It was like we had to do something about it because it could hurt us. And they're very inconsistent with their PR and statements. Like we mentioned this whole time. Twitch doesn't give a fuck about you. They only give a fuck about their bottom dollar. It's crazy.
There's this quote in this Bloomberg article that talked about the head of creators leaving, and this is from someone else. It says this is about the president, the current president. Dan is the ultimate embodiment of a tenured business technology professional coming from a non-creator first company, trying to right-side a ship that seemed to be veering off into unprofitability, said Zachary Diaz, Twitch's former director of emerging content, who also spent 8 months as TikTok's U.S. head for creator management for its live platform. He is this embodiment of creator sentiment is secondary to everything. There's no leader to push back against that, so now it's the direction of Twitch. It's
just funny because YouTube went for like the kill shot. Like a couple days after all of this Twitch drama started, they were like, "Oh, we're going to monetize ad revenue on shorts." Like they're going after TikTok's share value and stuff now, and their kind of user base. And I think that's huge. YouTube monetizing the ad revenue on shorts because short form content is like the new thing.
Yes.
You know, it's like it's huge on YouTube. The fact that it can be monetized now, the fact that it's going to create a lot of creators are going to start making this short form content. It's going to be all over YouTube. It's going to be huge. Short form content has gotten small YouTube content creators hundreds of thousands of subscribers with one short, you know, one like 30-second to a minute video. And now the fact that they can make money off of it is huge. And they just like YouTube keeps coming out with like W's, you know. And like you said, it is harder currently to achieve the same type of revenue as a small content creator on YouTube as opposed to Twitch, because Twitch sets their standards a lot lower in terms of like entry to monetization. But give it like 5 years.
Yeah.
YouTube's gonna eclipse Twitch. Right now, Twitch can do whatever the hell they want because there's no competition, like you said. But YouTube's going to eclipse them if they keep doing things like this. They're being very smart about it.
Harris Heller, who is like was a he owns Stream Beats and that royalty free music for streamers company, and he also has a YouTube channel and stuff like that. And he used to stream on Twitch all the time. He left Twitch a couple years ago on purpose to try to like redirect his sort of like revenue through YouTube. And he talks very honestly about how much money he lost switching to YouTube. But he does a lot of, but he's a vested interest, right, in the growth of that platform. So he does a lot of videos about like whenever this kind of news comes out, he talks about like what YouTube is doing and what Twitch is doing about whatever. And the thing he like always talks about is like the thing you have to understand about YouTube, right, is that Google which owns YouTube obviously, but Google is the biggest search engine in the world, right? The Google itself. The second biggest search engine in the world is YouTube, right? So that's the second most used search in the world is YouTube. The ability, the potential for exposure and revenue and stuff is so much bigger on YouTube, right? And also YouTube is much better at like, it has an algorithm that will, that will buoy people up who otherwise would not get discovered. But they have been slow, right, to kind of get their live streaming stuff like right. And it seems like over the last year or so, they've been moving in a direction where now you have memberships, now you can raid, and now there's like they're adding, you can gift memberships now. There's like stuff you can do now to like to increase that. And I think like, but like you said, Sky, you mentioned like the kill shot or whatever. They really need to go. They need to find their spot and go for it, and really just like say like, this is it. Like we're making a big play for everybody, not just the big people. For everybody to come over here, and here's what we're gonna do. I think they need to be better about surfacing live content, right? Stuff like that. They need to figure out how to like incorporate some of what Twitch does right, but keep all the stuff that they also do right as well. But the biggest play about YouTube, right, is that like the live stream on Twitch is it, right? You do a live stream and it's like, that's it. Like your Twitch exposure is over, right? You're not gaining followers and subscribers when you're not streaming, right? It's just not gonna happen. But YouTube can say like, yeah, you do your stream, but then that stream lives on your channel for forever. And look at the numbers you can get if on these kind of things if they take off. We're not talking a couple of thousands of people are going to watch it. We're potentially talking about tens, hundreds, millions of people who can see your thing after it's aired. And I think Twitch needs to get a wake up call with that, but it still hasn't happened yet. So they continue to do this stuff all the time.
Yeah, I want to say his name is Fwiz. He used to be like one of the head of content creation at Twitch, and now he works for YouTube.
Okay.
And he's even come out and been like, "Hey, yeah, Twitch, you need to step up and like have it where creators can do other stuff on your platform.
Yeah.
Because like we're just gonna keep winning there because, like I said, like." You can do a Twitch stream here or a YouTube stream Tuesday, and Thursday you can upload a video, and all those people who watched your stream are going to get a notification that you made a video.
Yeah.
And it's all on one platform versus right now it's like, well, hey, I'd make YouTube videos here and I do Twitch streams here.
Yeah.
And even like, I talk about Destiny a lot, sorry. Dado, one of the biggest Destiny streamers, like he made a YouTube channel solely for his Twitch streams, and he's got like 500,000 subscribers to that channel alone. And it's like, well, he's already got 1 million over here, and he's just rolling in the dough at this point.
Yeah.
So like, it's just smart, like what YouTube's doing.
Yeah, and I mean, they're leveraging their advantages, right? I mean, also they have all the fucking money in the world, and not that Twitch doesn't, not that Amazon doesn't, but they have it.
According to them, they don't.
According to them, they don't.
For real.
You don't hear YouTube being like, guys, we gotta charge you more because Google is charging us too much for our server space. And again, like we said before, YouTube has a ton of problems as well. This is not any of us saying that YouTube is a wonderful platform that does no wrong. They do a lot wrong. Google does a lot wrong. There's a lot of problems, but these are the services in which people who want to create content, they have to use these services. There's nothing else you can do. You have to use these services until someone starts another one that breaks out. These are the options that you have, right? They're all terrible. They're all run by evil corporations. That's just the deal we've made with capitalism in order to exist in this world. That is what it is, right? None of them. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of them are terrible. Like, they're all terrible companies. Doesn't mean that there aren't good people working at those companies who want to do right by the people who use the platform. There are plenty of those people. But the thing everyone needs to understand, if you're interested in doing this stuff, is that the platform you're working for or you're doing stuff for doesn't give a shit about you. And they never will. The moment you are not profitable to them, you are not worth anything to them. That is just... And the truth is, if there's somebody that can make more money for them, even if you're making money for them, you're less important than that person. It's just the way it goes. They will do anything they can to make whatever money they can. It is just how it goes. YouTube, this is like the Microsoft situation, right? Where it's like Microsoft seems like a good guy right now because they're spending all this time catching up with Sony and whatever. So they seem like we're your friends. We're your friends. We're Microsoft. We're your friends. You know, we're just, you know, we own 75% of the servers in the world, and we make $6 trillion a year, but we're just your buddies. You know, that's what YouTube's trying to be right now, right? They're trying to be the like, no, we got you. Don't worry. We're your friends. The bully over there at Amazon, they're going to cause you problems, but come over here to Alphabet and everything will be fine. Like, we're going to treat you good, give you a better split, whatever. But the moment they can get away with screwing you over, they will. That's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes.
All just cogs in the machine.
Also, Matt Gaetz apparently joined Twitch, so let's everyone leave. It's time to leave.
we just need Microsoft to bring back Mixer, you know? Like,
I know, right?
I didn't mind Mixer.
Mixer was cool as shit.
I never tried it.
Mixer had like that cool, like, there were these 3 bot channels, and like like one was like oh, this guy's gonna win this battle royale. Let's hop over to him, and like it would like host like little channels who were about to win battle royales. And there was another one. It was just for like people who were playing ranked and like Overwatch. Like, it was just cool. Like,
they had a Fortnite one, they had a PUBG one, they had an Overwatch one, and literally the bot would just host you. It would just host you. It would just go, okay, like and then you would watch people, because you could say on the channel it was kind of like. Neither of you are sports people, but there's a channel called the NFL Red Zone channel, which basically is just like you sit there and they just ping pong between the games, going like, okay, this here's a play, this is about a score, and that's what it was like. It was like, okay, you go there, and then like you'd see the people like, because they get an alert, and they'd be like, holy shit, and then and then they would die, and the stream would automatically switch to somebody else. They wouldn't even have a chance to say anything after they died. But Mixer was cool. Also, Mixer had super low latency as well. Okay. Super low latency. It was like almost instantaneous. Like, you could literally, like, I could stream to Mixer, like, for someone to like basically almost like share play, and someone could watch it, and they would be like milliseconds off from where I was. It was like crazy.
That's impressive as hell.
You could cool. You could co-stream, you could squad stream there for nothing. You could literally and it worked great through the Xbox. You could stream right through the Xbox to it, like, and it was great, but obviously not a lot of people used it, and they gave a lot of money to streamers who didn't really work out for them, I don't think.
Also, it's just like streaming, like, as you talked about a little bit earlier, Bobby, like, streaming causes, like, it takes so much bandwidth up, and it costs a lot of money. Like, someone I think did like the math, and it's like XQC in a year costs Twitch like over $2 million bandwidth. And so it's like, when you look at that, you're like, okay, like, he's costing you $2 million, but like, how much is he making back for you? Like, and so like, but then you think about like, how many people are streaming on Twitch? Like, that does add up at some point. Obviously, like, boohoo, it's fucking Amazon, but like,
my thing is like, this is the business model. This is the business you chose. No one forced you to buy Twitch. No one forced you to do this. So don't act like you're like, oh, you guys, like, we did this big favor for you guys, and now the bills coming due. Like, that's not, like, you chose the business. Like, so don't act like you're surprised this is how the business works when it ends up working like this. That's the thing about it that drives me crazy, is like, if I was like, if as a citizen, a human being citizen was like, oh, Amazon, sorry, I don't think that I'm the $80 a year, $160 a year that I pay for Amazon Prime or whatever it is. I don't remember how much it is, $150 a year. You know what? I think it's worth 20% less than that now. I'm going to pay you $120
Awesome.
a year. I don't think Amazon would really let that fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They definitely wouldn't.
I think they'd be like, "What? No, it's just canceled." So I like the way the roles were reversed would be totally different, obviously, and obviously that's just like I'm being a little bit naive about that, but on purpose. But it's bad. Twitch has been bad for a while, and it just, you know, their inaction has always been glaring, and you know, it's a shame because like I follow some people who used to work at like press outlets who work for Twitch, and they're all like great people or super cool, and like, you know, when you hear them talk about stuff, they're obviously really care about all the people on the platform and really want people to succeed and all this kind of stuff, and then they're just stuck behind all of this terrible management who doesn't care. And
Yeah.
so
I believe I read on Twitter, so there was at TwitchCon this past summer, there was a partner event every year, and like they talk about these kind of things at the partner event. And one of the guys was like, "Yeah, I asked the president, like, hey, are you, there's been rumors about the 70-30 split going away. Is that going to happen?" And he said, "No, why would we do that?"
mhm.
And then here we are, like 3 months later, and
Oh my
he
god.
did it. So
Yeah. He even
Yeah,
said in
so
his
that-
one quote, he said like, "Oh, a lot of content creators were hoping that we would make the 70-30 split universal, but we
Yeah.
can't do that." Okay.
that was honestly the right move, because then, like, you know how I mentioned earlier, it's a lot easier to monetize on Twitch at the very base level
Mhm.
as affiliate than it is to, get the subscription button on YouTube. I think the benchmark for that is 100,000 subscribers. That is insane. That's a lot. You're still going to make your ad revenue, which I believe is 55-45 in terms of the revenue split. It's still not a lot of money. I think you make 18 cents a view over 1,000 or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I was reading. I don't know how old that was, but I know for a fact the ad revenue on YouTube at the lower end is not a lot. It's certainly not a lot, like enough to live on.
It's 1,000 subscribers, by the way, on
Oh,
YouTube.
is it? I thought it was 100,000.
No, not her. That'd be insane if it was
1,000?
Yeah, you said it,
100,000.
and I was like, "Holy!"
I swear.
No, it's 1,000.
Is it? I know it's 1,000 to monetize, but I think
No,
to
I'm
get
like-
the subscription button,
I'm looking at. It
the
says
membership button. Is it 100 or is it 1? Because I read 100 earlier. Maybe I'm wrong.
Channel memberships. Viewers to join. Hold on a second. Let's see. Minimum eligibility requirements. Your channel must have more than 1,000 subscribers. Your channel is
Okay.
Your channel is in the YouTube Partner Program. You're 18 years old. You're in one of the available locations. Your channel has a community tab. Your channel is not set as made for kids. Your channel does not have a significant number of ineligible videos. You have agreed and are complying to our terms of service, basically.
Okay. So I misread that, but still, even 1,000's hard to hit on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not
a lot
easy.
easier
It's
than
definitely
100,000.
definitely, and it's also harder than 3 viewerships and like
Yes.
20 hours on
Oh,
Twitch or something.
yeah.
It's crazy. I personally found it very easy to monetize on Twitch. I'm sure a lot of other people did too.
Yeah.
I do actually know some people who struggle to monetize on Twitch. I never understood that because, like I said, did you have a hard time monetizing?
I did. I think just
Yeah.
because like, and like I don't know, like maybe I just wasn't going about it the right way. Also, just like there's a million of us generic white guys with beards on Twitch, so
Yes. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So,
But yeah, no, it's just it
But
like
I
as I
will
was
say,
saying, yeah.
it is easier. Yeah,
It's
way
definitely
easier.
easier, like comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
If you put the revenue back up to 70-30 for everyone, the amount of people who would flock over or at least try it, you'd be getting more money in the long run. Like, it just seems more lucrative to your business to do the 70-30 split, maybe not immediately in short term, but in the long term, it does sound like it's more lucrative to me. Because you'd have more staying power on that platform. You'd feel less inclined to go to YouTube or less inclined to go to TikTok or Instagram or whatever the hell other live platform is available to you, with a better revenue split, because it's easier to get it on Twitch immediately than it is on these other channels where you have to, struggle a little longer just to get that viewership, and to monetize. So I don't understand, like, this whole move with Twitch just baffles the shit out of me. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even know how it left, like I said, the marketing team, like how somebody read this statement from the president and went, "Oh, that's great, sir. You're just killing it, man," and let him put it on Twitter. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, what this former employee said, right? It just seems like there's nobody to say no to him. So
It's crazy.
He's the top of the food chain. There's nobody that can say no, so he just can do what he wants, you know?
Oh.
So that's just the way it goes, I guess.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah, that's our thoughts on this Twitch situation. I don't want to go too much longer because Sky, I know, is struggling with her voice.
Just a little.
So I just want to quickly say that the last time we did a game, Sky won again, which I don't think we've given her credit for. This time she didn't nail it exactly, but she was one off from the hill. The Last of Us Part 1 has an 88 top critic average on Open Critic.
I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic.
Yes.
I'm a prophet, apparently. I should write a book.
I will say that I had guessed 90 and Cody had guessed 80. So there we go.
I win.
You win. We're not a game this week, but we'll have another one soon. We should know in the next week or so, though, the results of the Splatoon Last of Us Part 1
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
sweepstakes
That's gonna be really interesting.
in America. Though if the Japan sales for Splatoon 2 were any indication, it's not going to even be close, because Splatoon 2 sold insane amount of copies for Japan, like insane, considering how big their population is. It's a crazy number.
I gotta go look at that later. That's really interesting.
Yeah, in their first week, I can look it up right now. Splatoon 2,
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Splatoon
I'm so
2
curious.
sales. Splatoon 3 sales. Sorry, not Splatoon 2. Splatoon 3 sales. Splatoon 2.
Also, just circling back real quick, I do want to say also, just don't, because we were really dogging on Twitch, YouTube also has a very shitty policy with ads. A big part of YouTube that suffers from this is the horror genre. People who make horror related content have a terrible time getting ads because Google doesn't think anything horror related is appropriate for children, and so a lot of their ads just don't work.
It's a shame that you mentioned that, because I watched a really, really fascinating video. It's about 20 minutes long, about the head transplant that happened
Mhm.
with the I don't know the specifics, but it got demonetized and it got millions of views. And he made like a statement, like this creator, after the fact, saying like it was an educational video.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even show the parts of it that were gory. It was an educational video and it got demonetized because the content was considered scary. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are things too. And obviously there's strong opinions about like creator rights and all those kind of things, and especially in a world we live in where they're basically created an environment where you really have to interact with these platforms in order to be successful. There isn't really like another route, to go very much anymore, if at all. I mean, there are things that like people try to do, like there's like Curiosity Stream and like a couple of other like Nebula and stuff like that, which are like these like kind of like subscription based creator owned services where you can sort of like, it's like a YouTube, and a lot of big YouTubers will do video on their videos. It's like, well, yeah, we have like, if you go to Nebula, you'll see my like unedited videos, where, because I'm not like indebted to the algorithm or whatever. So they've tried to do it, but you can't really do it. But I will say this, and this is not me saying like you deal with the shit that you get given, but when you put stuff up on Twitch, and this is kind of like how I feel about the DMCA stuff, or you put stuff on YouTube, you are using somebody else's platform to put up your content. So at a certain point, there is going to be a line where like they're going to have weird fucking rules, and you're going to have to just deal with it, because you're using their platform, you're using their bandwidth, you're using their storage. Like if you want to purely like, the problem is if you want to purely like real experience, a pure experience, you have to go somewhere. You have to like host your own video, and then you're obviously your the ability for your video to be found is much, much smaller. In its first week in Japan, Splatoon 3 sold 2 million copies.
Holy shit. That is substantial.
Yes. Considering, the population of Japan is 125 million people. Like, that is a pretty good, like, a pretty good, like, multiplier of that.
Well, good for them. I heard Splatoon's really good.
Yeah. So, we'll see, because United States has like 3 times as many people in it, so we'll see what happens.
Their sales are make or break. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this week's show. We're gonna skip roll for topic this week. We'll come back with it next week. If you've made it to the end of this video or this podcast, obviously, I'm hoping you're liking the show and liking what we're doing and we're saying. So as I said at the top, please remember to rate and subscribe to the podcast. It is the biggest way you can get us out there. The more reviews we have, the more that iTunes or Spotify or whatever service thinks the show is worth putting up into their algorithm. Same thing with YouTube. Like the video. Liking it is the best thing you can possibly do, but share it. And obviously, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. You can follow us on social media, at @side_quests pod. That's everywhere. And you can find the YouTube channel at misadventure.land if you want to see the video versions of the show, if you're listening to the audio version. I'm not sure what we'll be discussing next week. One of these weeks, you and Cody have to have your Pokemon episode that you planned.
We do. That was really hyped up.
So hopefully, Sky, next week you're feeling a little better, and you guys can kind of take the ball and run with that one. But we'll see. But yeah, I think until our next quest. Thank you, Sky.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who's watching and or listening. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.